I want to note, shout out to Healthy St. Pete, how many programs we already have supporting healthy food access. So we have the Fresh Pace Neighborhood Store program. These are the 6 stores that are promoted as healthy Fresh Pace Neighborhood stores. We have the Community Food Grant program, which we already mentioned in 2025, funded 9 projects and will be launched again in 2026. We have the Healthy Food Action Plan, which includes a lot of the strategies that we have discussed. We have the Urban Agriculture Policy passed in 2021. We have the City's Food System Map. The City's Food System Map essentially takes that. Everyone's familiar with the USDA low income, low access map. This takes it to the next level where we used our business tax receipt data to identify what we believed were food retailers and classified them on a GIS map, which is available on Healthy St. Pete's website. We have the Fresh Rec Stop program, the Summer Food Service program. We have a food systems planner working under Healthy St. Pete. We have the St. Pete Youth Farm. And then I also want to note from a CRA perspective, we have the eligibility under the South St. Pete CRA programs, the Neighborhood Planning Program and the Commercial Corridor Planning Program for expanded urban agriculture on commercial corridors or within neighborhood plans to be implemented. That language is specific because the language in our redevelopment plan specifically talks about community gardens and farmers markets when it comes to food systems. I'm going to end with this capacity building slide to pass it off to Andrea again.
Thanks, Cassidy. So just to close this out, I just wanted to highlight some of the capacity building programs that we currently have at the city for our nonprofit partners. So the first, of course, is our signature greenhouse offering, the business navigation and mentorship. These are personalized business resources from a greenhouse staff member. There are mentors through SCORE, which is a Service Corps of Retired Executives with very specific nonprofit expertise. And then they also have subject matter experts that work with SCORE that can help, our nonprofits with such things as board development, fundraising, other nuanced components of running and growing a nonprofit. We also have a suite of hybrid workshops that folks can take in person or virtual. Our SEED program, and that's really tailored to support very small organizations in need of seed funding to strengthen infrastructure and fundraising capacity. Our Ignite program, which is an 8-week class for the actual nonprofit professionals or business professionals, to kind of increase their leadership acumen. And then, of course, our Entrepreneurial Academy, which we do in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. So that is the presentation that we have. Again, thank you all for your attention. We're happy to take any questions or comments that you all might have.
Great. You want to start, Councilmember Galbraith?
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, ladies. Really appreciate all of the thorough research that you have done and kind of, a path forward if, City Council wanted to continue to move forward with this conversation, which I am hopeful that we do. But back to, kind of a recap and a next steps from our August meeting. You do have in the backup today a resolution supporting the One Community Grocery Co-op. This was a specific request from the presentation that we had that day. I do just want to mention we are joined today, not as presenters, but here, and that would be up to the chair, but if there's any questions, Erica Hardison and several member owners of the One Community Grocery Co-op are all here today, so wanted just to make sure I mentioned them and thank them for being here. But this would be for the request of partnership support in the amount of $50,000 to One Community Grocery Co-op to further the goals of the Healthy Food Action Plan. So this is a draft resolution in your backup. I wanted to bring that forward for conversation and potentially the opportunity to move that forward. So I'll leave that there, Chair.
Councilmember Givens.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all so much for this thorough presentation. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart when I think about those folks who are asset limited and income constrained. Alice, these are folks who are working class individuals that are struggling to just keep their families afloat. This is not necessarily your unhoused population, but many people who probably are in this room who are looking for an economical option to healthy and nutritious food. And I really would like to see our council take that next step in continuing this conversation. I certainly would like to discuss some of those challenges that were brought up. For example, I want to talk for a moment about WIC vendors and the challenges with compliance there. How would the city, what does oversight look like? Are we allowed to tell this nonprofit that they have to accept WIC? What authority do we have in this conversation?
I'm not sure we have any authority. So I actually tried to reach out. I reached out a few years ago. I used to work for Healthy St. Pete to the Florida Department of Health to talk about WIC compliance. And one of the conversations I had at the time, which again was a few years ago, was that these smaller vendors really have a challenge with keeping that consistent stock and making sure that they have the stock. So they might enroll in the WIC vendor program, become a WIC vendor, and then they'll do like a quarterly check-in. It might have changed by now. And then someone will show up from FDOH notice that there's no black beans, you're off the list. Mm-hmm. And so it can be very much a challenge, again, because of that bulk purchasing, trying to keep things on the shelves, not having that back space to store extra WIC products consistently at the time. I tried to reach out to them again recently. I left a voicemail. I have not heard back from them. I will say when you look at the FDOH website right now to see how to become a WIC vendor, there's no option for Pinellas County, which is what I called about. It lists like several other counties saying if you want to become a WIC vendor in these counties, here's the application period. But it did not mention Pinellas County, and again, I did not get a response when I called Florida Department of Health, neither the state line nor the local line. So I will follow up on that again.
And how about SNAP benefits?
That I'm less familiar with.
So the city does not have any jurisdiction when it comes to SNAP benefits. I mean, SNAP benefits that's federal money that flows down. We don't distribute it. We don't control it. So we don't have really any authority to regulate who takes that, who doesn't take it, and what the requirements are to take it. But those are two programs that when you're talking about our Alice community, it's critical. I mean, they need to shop at a place where those benefits are accepted and they're able to purchase the food using those programs. So, but unfortunately, we do not have any authority at the city level, and I don't believe Pinellas County has any authority either.
And that was my point, Andrea. I'm sorry.
I will note that I think it is easier for people to become SNAP. You see a lot more SNAP vendors, just generally in smaller food retail. I think it's less regulated, but I couldn't give you a precise answer to that. I do know there's other municipalities, and perhaps Healthy St. Pete can speak about it, where we do work with business owners to be able to accept SNAP. So you can kind of work on that capacity building of how to accept SNAP. Can be incorporated into a capacity building program.
Sure, and I'd love to give Healthy St. Pete that opportunity if they want to speak to that. Kim?
Hi, Kim Lado, Healthy St. Pete. With me is my colleague Sarah Weimer. Sarah actually worked with WIC as a WIC officer. As far as SNAP eligibility and capacity building through our Healthy Neighborhood Store program, our partner, the St. Petersburg Free Clinic, was able to onboard a new store. She has started and is offering SNAP benefits. It is easier. There is a process and there are regulations, but again, it is easier to start and maintain that credible offering for store owners. And so through the Healthy Neighborhood Store program, we are doing that. As far as WIC, I don't know, do you have anything to add, Sarah?
Yeah, so WIC is a really great program. It is different from SNAP in that it has clinical implications for nutrition. The foods that you specifically can buy have to have and meet certain nutrition requirements, and so the way that looks in practice for vendors is that they need to be certain sizes based off of the amount of the nutrients that's offered in the serving size. So it is more of a challenge also because it is not because you can't just buy anything, you have to buy very specific products, often very specific brands that meet those nutrition standards. There is not a lot of demand to use those benefits. So the challenge for vendors would be both meeting the purchasing requirements in the size of the product, but also customers typically don't use a lot of the benefits every month because they just don't eat the products that that the program requires you buy.
It's more prescribed program.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it. And you said what I was going to say, which is so many people depend on these critical services, WIC and SNAP. And we see that this month currently. And I want to make sure that we are providing, again, economical options. So I said all that to say this. I support a free grocery store option. And whatever option we choose to implement, I certainly think that model should be a mixed-use model. I certainly think that the city should not be in the business of owning and operating, but in the business of providing the seed funds. I think it was the Invest Atlanta model that awards multiple grants. I don't think we should put all of our eggs in one basket. There are a number of organizations in the community that are doing the work to combat food insecurity, and I'd like to see what these organizations can do with the right support. I'm thinking specifically about Save-A-Lot grocery store on 49th Street and 22nd. That's my neighborhood store. And what that store's closing has done has widened the food insecurity gap, food access gap in South St. Petersburg, specifically Childs Park. The number of folks who live in that community that depend on that store, they are now without access to healthy and nutritious food. So when we talk about geographic locations in the USDA food map, have we identified 2, 3, 4 locations that might be prime if we were to say, hey, this is an opportunity we're worth pursuing?
So we have not done a market analysis at the city level. We do have, obviously we're a densely populated county, very built out. So along all of our commercial corridors, the zoning would allow for a project with a grocery store. If we had a private sector partner come to us, there are certainly some availability out there. The city doesn't currently have any land that's earmarked for this. I will just, as an aside about the Save-A-Lot, we actually did reach out to them. Our colleagues at the county gave us a contact with Save-A-Lot, and they have a program really designed to increase food access. And so we do have a call into that gentleman to speak with them and see if, that's something that, we can bring them back to our community and possibly if they have a different program that they could operate a store under. So I did want to share that with you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm thinking about, as I think about 49th Street, the 49th Street produce store, your neighborhood produce. That is an awesome concept. If we were to pursue something of this nature, I think we should start small, 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. If we go above that, we're going to be in the same boat that we're in now. We see these large grocery store retailers, many of the reasons why they close is they just simply could not stay afloat because of multiple things, including not having the financial viability there in the community to support the store, and also things like theft. So again, when we talk about a pay what you can option, that is going to work best in this community because many people cannot afford to go to a traditional grocery store. The non-traditional model seems to be what's working, and we saw in your presentation, 2 of those stores, 2 out of the 4, I think, that you showed as examples have failed. So I really think the hybrid model is the best way to go. I would like us to look to what Feeding Tampa Bay did over in Tampa. They combined nutrition and wellness classes with financial counseling, workforce and job training. I see this being a mixed-use site. So again, I don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. I want to make sure that we are working with organizations that have a track record of partnership and collaboration, working with different entities to provide those wraparound services. It's more than just putting food on a shelf. We need to see organizations have existed and worked well in the community. They have measurable outcomes and credible results. I do want to ask one community a little bit about, I think it was a microfund program that they received funds from. I want to ask how those funds were expended, if they don't mind.
Hi,
You could come up to a mic, yeah.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Erica Hardison, and I am the board chair and lead steward for One Community Grocery Co-op. And thank you, Councilman Givens, for your question. In terms of the microfund program, the funds were expended for mostly awareness and outreach and some marketing dollars, and help to push forward some of our produce pop-ups that we do around the community.
Can you speak a little bit, Erica, to your food distribution stats? How many people have you served? How often do you provide those distributions?
So in terms of how many people we served, I don't have those numbers readily available, but we do pop-ups. It really depends on the month. So in this past month, we've done at least 3 just in November so far, but we pop up at different community locations, so it really depends on the pulse of the community and the needs and the partners we're working with. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It does. I appreciate that. And thank you for answering my questions. And I'm done. I just want to say, I support a public-private partnership, but I simply believe that putting, $50,000 towards one organization that, again, probably could not handle an operation of this magnitude full scale if we were to jump street tomorrow. But there are organizations present today. I'm looking at Positive Impact that every Saturday they're providing groceries at a free food distribution event every week. And they've been doing it for the past 5 years, if not longer. So I would love to see a collaboration possibly with more than one organization, because I think to simply say that one organization can front this task by themselves, I think that's impossible. So again, I would like to see some collaboration. If you have collaborated, can you speak to that? But I just want to make sure that if we are considering a municipal-owned grocery store or considering planting seed funds, grant dollars, TIF dollars, whatever, I just want to make sure that we are doing so with an organization that has a track record of, again, providing food to the community on a weekly basis.
So it's very interesting because when I saw this slide, and thank you for your detailed research, one of our sibling co-ops in our ecosystem, Three Sisters Markets in Charlotte, North Carolina, although they are not open, we have been working closely with them since their inception. And so when we look at track record, when we look at framework and our capacity to build, we have several entities who are partnering with us. And it's very much so a difference between a charity organization and an organization that is bringing economic development, is bringing pride, is bringing not only food access. One of the things we say at One Community Grocery Co-op is that we are here not only for food access, food security, and sovereignty, but we're here for healthy nutritious food, and we're also here to make sure that we are reinvesting and using dollars that stay within our community to promote the economic development. I'm not sure if you all looked into Detroit People's Food Co-op in Detroit, Michigan, but that is one that is very similar to Three Sisters Market and some of the others in the studies where it was a multitude of people who got together. That store presently employs, I think, over 24 community members, makes about $84,000 a week in revenue that is circulated within the community. So when we talk about how we're spending dollars, one of the things that co-ops do, they have a multiplier effect, and that effect recirculates the money within our community. So when we look at South St. Pete and we look at what's going on, how are we supporting what's there? How are we getting people from Alice, from low income, low access, to thriving in this community that they grew up in? Like when you say people go to a market and they go to the same market their mom went to, it's like, St. Pete, I will say I'm not a native, but I love St. Pete and the way people really support community. When people are born at Bayfront and it changed to Orlando Health, people are like, oh my goodness, my child is not going to be born at Bayfront when other things. So these are points of pride and points of progress where we can still stay local and really help the people who need it the most and who are in our community. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think the last time you spoke, you said you were at roughly 150 members and you needed to get to 300, I think, to take that next step. Where are we now?
Yeah, I think we might, I'm not sure what the number was in August, but now we are at around 167 members, so our membership has increased. We do anticipate it increasing steadily, and we have the support. So when we talk about capacity, we want to build the capacity within our communities, within people who live in South St. Pete and who are here for the long run.
Thank you. And my last point that I'll make is I really love the idea that was mentioned about the food, the community food hubs, and supporting local producers and consumers. I love the hybrid model. You're supporting retailers and also consumers at the same time. I believe Positive Impact had a plan called Reimagine St. Pete, and it was similar to where they were providing retail space for those small business owners. There was also space there where you could provide nutrition and wellness classes, where you could learn how to eat what you grow. And different things of that sort. So again, as we talk about next steps, I want to make sure that we're including everyone in this conversation. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Councilmember Driscoll.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation and pulling everything together to show such a well-rounded picture of what we're offering, what we have right now, and what the possibilities could be as we move forward. I agree that we need to continue to look at a multi-pronged approach, but today, in light of the resolution that we have in the packet, I want to focus on the co-op. And first, thank you for all that you're doing, and congratulations on getting over 50% of the goal for membership. That is really something to celebrate. I'm so glad to hear it.
Yeah, no. I mean, and for us, we're over 50% and we're building. Like it really truly is a community-centered and a community-led project. And so when we think about it, when we think about our produce pop-ups, the produce comes from farmers and producers in St. Petersburg. And that's one of the things that we can say over everyone else. Like people say, where did this come from? Many of the farmers have participated in greenhouse programs and have gotten awards. A couple of them got awards for beautification for the neighborhood projects. So we are supporting one another. Like when we say St. Pete Strong, when we say these things, we're not buying what's left over from bulk distributors from California or somewhere like that. We're investing in St. Pete.
Now, when we talked last time, and we were talking about a $50,000 contribution at that time, part of that was for a conference that was coming up that has now come and gone. Were you able to get anyone able to go to the conference?
Oh yeah, we still went, and we actually got an award at the conference, the W.E. Du Bois Award for Education. Last year we were nominated for 2 awards, and this year we were nominated for 1 and brought 1 home. But that's the key for us, is we follow, and we're founded on 7 cooperative principles, and one of those is education, training, and information. So when we talk about the co-op, we always say we are more than a grocery store. So if you look at models in our ecosystems and our sibling co-ops, they not only have a grocery store, there are health clinics, there are teaching kitchens, there are demonstration kitchens, there are banquet halls and space for community members to rent so that they can hold celebrations and things like that. It's really a hub model, and that's what we're looking towards, but we can't look towards that without having the input of our community. And so when people say, like, what do we do? Like, One Community Grocery Co-op is a co-op, but we do a number of things in the community as well to build that awareness, to build that belonging and that closeness. And so we have drum circles, we do cooking demonstrations, we participate in a whole host of activities. Like if you go on our website, and I'm going to plug it right now, www.ocgc.coop, and that's COOP, /events, you will see most of the events listed. It really is a wholeness project. Like when we talk about food, when you talk about food just in general, people eat and make friends, have family gatherings. Everything has to do with food. So we are not just here to provide food. We're here to provide all the things that encompass food.
Thank you. So now the conference is done, but it's the same 50,000. Can you just tell us very briefly what that will be used for? I mean, in the resolution it says to invest in training and development and advance pre-development activities. What I'm wondering is how much of that, given the list of the programs and support offered by the greenhouse, how much of that can be done through the greenhouse, and where will the $50,000 be invested?
Okay, great question. And so in terms of availability, how will the money be used? There are other conferences throughout the year. We participate in other peer groups and things like that will require travel and will require the same use of funds. In terms of the greenhouse, the cooperative model is very different from a traditional business model. So one of the things that we've kind of had a challenge with is helping people understand that model. In Florida, it's not as prevalent. And so that's why we usually have to go outside of the state. And that's why you will see cooperative models outside of Florida. Like, we are one of 3 co-ops in the state of Florida, and the other 2 have been around for a while, one over 30 years and one over 50 years, but traditionally co-ops receive their training in the Midwest and the Northeast, where those cooperative stores have been grounded for a long time.
Okay. Another thing we talked about last time was the potential for the city to assist with site selection, getting a space for you. Tell us about your space needs right now.
So for right now, what we're looking at is at least 15,000 square foot. That's what we would see. But again, all these things, just like the presentation gave, we need to do market and feasibility studies and performers to make sure it works. We're not backing into a space, getting a space and saying, now let's make this work. We are looking at all of the options and choosing the best option.
Is the study in your budget right now? Is it funded?
It is not funded right now.
Do you have do you know how much that type of a study is going to cost?
It really depends on who does the study, and like I said, in this situation, especially for the target area for those zip codes, we would need a specialized. So we're looking to our sibling co-ops and co-ops in our ecosystem, the people who have done those. And I don't have an exact number,
Okay.
but
That's
I can
okay.
get back to you on that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had maybe gotten, looked into that, because that is something that maybe the city could help with, because we know how to pull together a study. You could help with the scope, and maybe we can help move that along more quickly, because that's information that's just really vital as you build capacity, as you further your plans. You got to know what things look like right now.
Yeah.
So I want to see that happen sooner than later. And so in addition to, I'm very supportive of what we have today. I would be supportive if it was more, and I would like to include, I'm not going to disrupt this, but what I want from the administration is to work with this organization to develop a scope of work to do this market analysis and get that moving as well. I think if you have that in your pocket, and this is where we can be a resource. I understand the greenhouse doesn't have the type of specialized support that you need. I hope you'll explore if there are other ways, because you can see we've got people here who want to help.
Oh, yes.
You know, so I'm trying to figure out how we can be most helpful, and I think that analysis, that study, is going to be one of the things that we can do, and then the next step would be for us to help with that site based on those results. So kind of putting a few steps after this one into place. So I would love for the committee to consider continuing this conversation, and when it comes back, to have that information from the administration on how we move forward with the study. There are also, do you have someone who works on grants?
We do have people who work on grants. Collectively, we work on the grants together.
Okay, because there are.
That would be helpful if we had someone who was dedicated.
Yeah, and we have such a strong grants team that I think we should offer that kind of help. So a municipally supported store might look a little bit different than what we originally thought, but I want to be very intentional and deliberate about the type of support that we provide. And so that's why I'm asking these questions, like, what do you need, and how can we be the connection that you need to get some things without just basically increasing this funding. There are things that we can do internally that would probably cost less than if you went outside and tried to do that. Yeah. So that grant assistance and the study, I would like us to get more involved with.
Thank you.
And I'm a little confused about the CRA eligibility. It's, there's a lot in here, but then it sounds like maybe it's not. Maybe this is not eligible. So I'm looking at legal.
It's really contingent on what.
Yeah. So how is this any different from, another? And it might be on what the specific. It might depend on what the specific ask is, but. How is this different from any other business assistance that's provided through the South St. Pete CRA programs?
Yeah, and that it is likely going to be very dependent on the ask. There are certain, there are definitely sort of open-ended categories that we could look into. I'm not, I haven't independently looked into it, but I don't know that we're like absolutely the only way to do it is for a CRA amendment. It does look like there might be a little bit of wiggle room with some of the current categories. So that's something, depending on the ask, we could definitely look into. I don't know that we're saying that there's definitely no way that CRA money can be expended except for that amendment.
Yeah, so we would have to look at, what is the specific ask? From a capacity building standpoint, we have the microfund program, but it's broadly written. It's not saying specifically to this person. It's a competitive application process, it's, an application process where we took in a whole cohort. And so we don't necessarily have a program right now to just hand someone money directly. That's not something that we have a program for currently. But we can look at our existing programs. We can look at our redevelopment plan. Our redevelopment plan does not specifically reference grocery stores. They mentioned farmers markets,
and businesses.
And businesses. So there's a broader language. So we would have to have a further discussion based on the specific ask of the interpretation of the law.
Okay, so I want to look into that. And maybe before we look at an amendment, we look at how can we play with what we already have. Could be a lot easier. Once you select the site, there's the improvements that can be made. You're going to need help with that. I'm just looking down the road at how the resources we already have can be helpful to you. So I'm going to stop there because I know I'm sorry. But yes, and thanks to all who are here for this important discussion. I'm excited. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go get right down to it. First, sort of overall, the new business item is called municipally owned grocery stores and food deserts, and then the presentation is called municipally supported grocery stores. Why the change?
Well, because I think that came from our conversation last time where I did feel that the committee wanted to hear about some different support models. So it wasn't just that we were focusing on municipally owned stores, which we had a lot of examples of, unfortunately, that they didn't succeed. So we just wanted to show to the committee that it's not necessarily that the city has to own and operate one, but there's a lot of different ways that the city or the county could support a grocery operation. And so that's just is the change, just so we could show the different kind of the wide swath of what the support models might be.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that the municipally stores didn't succeed. What was the main impediment? Was it that they weren't creating a profit, and so they found it not worth subsidizing anymore? Is that what the main thing was?
That's what we could find in our research. It's hard to find so these are very small communities.
Yeah.
So of course, at the heart of a grocery store is retail economics, right? It's how many people live in a certain radius and what's their income level. I mean, that's the basic of what retail economics are. And so when you have a very small population, do you have enough folks shopping at these stores to make it so that the city or the county aren't continually losing money into it, especially when these rural communities, a lot of them are, if they're adjacent to a large metro area with a traditional grocer, some folks maybe just buy things at the small grocery store, but then they'll go, every month they'll drive in. You see that a lot in rural communities. Well, they'll go 2 hours out, kind of do the big Costco stock up and then come back. So we weren't really able to find an example of a truly municipally owned and operated store in a community that's our size.
Okay, and then, so if the idea is that, there's subsidy having to be provided in order to continue these services, and, municipalities decide they no longer want to do that subsidy, did you see if they were providing resources to other organizations when those stores closed, or if they were just not continuing to invest in this kind of thing?
So we didn't, in those 4 examples that were up on the screen, we didn't see anything as like a follow-up, like the store closed and then they did this instead. I know that, as certainly in like the Baldwin area, as kind of the Jacksonville metro area expands, some of those retail options kind of expand out, through Duval County.
It was only like 15 minutes away from
Yeah.
the nearest Walmart.
So I'm asking all of this to show that, like, the discussion we're having right now is about subsidizing things outside of city-owned. And the reason why those other ones closed was because they were required subsidy. And so the downside to that is literally what we're talking about jumping straight to. Like, we're talking about, okay, we're not even going to give ourselves an opportunity to see if we can create a sustainable store. We're just going to lose money right away. And maybe that's what we want to do. Maybe it is. Maybe we say, like, our goal is to be able to provide healthy food access to people, and that's not a moneymaker. But the new business items title, Municipally Owned Grocery Stores and Food Deserts, implies to me that we're trying to solve a problem that is the fact that you cannot go purchase groceries in specific areas of the city. And we can solve that problem, and it might create a subsidy. But if we're having a discussion about providing healthy food access to people of low income, that is a good discussion to have, but it's not the discussion that I think we were trying to solve with this new business item. It's a separate discussion. And so I guess that's where my confusion and frustration is with the presentation that we've gotten today and all the conversation. I thought we were trying to solve the fact that there is not grocery stores in particular areas of the city. If we want to have a separate discussion about the co-op, like, I want to support the co-op, but like, I have other questions that need to be answered and like things that need to be focused on before we can get there. And what I'm hearing from my colleagues was that we were going to have a further discussion, and so I'm happy to have that. But I don't think it's not related to this item in my mind. And so I think if we're going to move in a different direction, we should probably just table the municipal grocery stores thing. But I think I originally put this new business item and I passed it to Councilmember Gabbard, and I'm grateful for all of her work on this. But it has drifted so far from what its original intent was that I think we need to reset the conversation. The reason why I put in the item was because we've had nonprofits and for-profits in the area fail. And, it was brought up that a couple of the municipal grocery stores failed. Well, you presented a whole bunch of nonprofits as well that are recent, but there's probably countless out there examples that you could go find that took the money and didn't accomplish what they wanted to. It's a thing that happens with nonprofits just as much anyway. So I don't think that this has been presented and I'm not blaming you, like this is how it's evolved, but this was not presented like on a level playing field. And some of the advantages of like doing municipal grocery stores were just never talked about. They were never discussed. How like we can control where the food goes, we can control how much subsidy we want to provide, what we want to provide. None of that was discussed. We're not looking for a profit motive. We can provide good jobs. None of that was discussed in this conversation. And so and I actually want to speak to that for the co-op a little bit too, in that the co-op is getting brought into this conversation about charity and municipal grocery store, and they're neither of that. Mm-hmm. And I think their goal is to create an entity that's propped up by the community and supported by the community, and that's not really, we haven't really delved into that. Like, that's what I want to see that happen, but how the city interacts with that so that we can help them but not make them reliant, that's the conversation I think needs to happen before we can get to that resolution. So, what I'm hearing from my colleagues is that our goal has changed and we're not just how do we get a grocery store in a specific area, then that's fine. But it leaves me frustrated and upset, but I'm happy to move on to a different conversation if that's the case, is what I'll say. Yeah, go ahead.
5 minutes?
Yeah, I think we started 10 minutes late, so
Okay.
maybe we can get 1 minute back for the
Okay, yeah, and I don't think Blair is going to take an incredibly long time today, so we can push a little bit into that. So I guess maybe I will start with kind of where you ended, which was how the evolution of this conversation has taken place. And you're right, there was an original intention that I was happy to carry forward, and negotiations and conversations behind the scenes to understand kind of that balance between a city council priority and which the priority is to solve the food insecurity issues in South St. Petersburg. I think that we can agree on. The administration, I think, also wants to solve those issues. However, there has to be a give and take. And quite frankly, from the evolution of the conversation and numerous reiterations of conversation behind the scenes, it became clear to me that us owning and operating a grocery store as a standalone enterprise, if you will, did not seem to be really the direction that administration felt comfortable with. And Rob, please chime in if I misinterpreted that somewhere along the way. But I never really felt as though that was quite the path that administration was prepared to move forward with. But the support of some sort of grocery store that is sustainable was really the path that I felt like through those conversations we were able to agree on. Whatever we do in South St. Petersburg has to be sustainable, and it has to be supported by the community, and we can't just drop it somewhere and say, here it is, and subsidize it 100% if we don't have the community buy-in, and we don't have really the stewardship of the community behind it. And so that is where I reinvigorated this conversation into this with the co-op. Because if you go back into new business items from when I first started on council in 2018, I brought co-op forward then. I believe in co-op as a mechanism for sustainability because it is rooted in the community. And I believe in that in housing, I believe in that in business, and right here in grocery, which translates also into business. And so that is kind of how we got to where we are, with this being more of a proposal for a supported grocery versus an owned and operated grocery. I don't necessarily disagree that I wouldn't have loved to have seen us moving full boat with, okay, we're just like we did with the Manhattan, right? I keep talking about that. We're doing it for an event space. I just don't know that the bandwidth or desire is there at this point in time in our community and in our government or with our budget to be able to do that with a grocery store. So that is why we have evolved to where we are. Now, with that being said, I just fundamentally believe that we need to, first of all, separate the conversation between what our nonprofit community is currently doing as, if we want to say charity work, I heard that word, to give food out. That is incredibly important. We need to continue to prop that up. We have to continue to support those initiatives. But this is a separate conversation. So I don't want to kind of cross those over because I think it pits one against the other, and I don't care for that. I really want us to stay very focused on this idea of creating empowerment within the community through access to food that not only is part of a owned and member-owned and driven initiative, but also something not everyone is going to either qualify or want to go and get free food every weekend. They want the dignity of being able to shop in a grocery store, but shopping in a grocery store that provides healthy options, provides it in their neighborhood. I have the map from USDA pulled up right here in front of me. The situation continues to persist in the exact same area. I don't know that we need a huge expensive market study to figure out where we need to put this grocery store. It shows very clearly. So I just kind of wanted to level set that a little bit. And then when it comes to this $50,000, I know that it was mentioned that it was, going to be used, part of it, to go to a conference. Well, we certainly want the individuals who are doing this work, if we support this work, to be well trained. And yes, going to a conference is important. But the other piece of that is advanced pre-development activities. Those are going to run the gamut. And I would imagine that those pre-development activities are the same things that we are seeing that has taken the group not only to its 50% goal, but since August, that's a pretty substantial increase, even since we were here. So there are other things that the co-op can do that is going to get them prepared for this partnership that I believe is the most sustainable path forward. If my colleagues don't agree that this is the most sustainable path forward, then so be it. But this is what, through that evolution, has been brought forward. I would like to continue the conversation with other ways that we can help with that capacity building. Grants, I think, is a great idea. I had written down one of them had used HUD funding. Okay, well, we need to be helping look for HUD funding if that is available. But I don't want this opportunity to pass itself by to start doing some capacity building now with the organization. So I'm going to make a motion that we support a resolution supporting the One Community Grocery Co-op, requesting that administration provide partnership funding in the amount of $50,000. And with that, I so move.
All right. I have a question for legal. If this were to be voted down, could it come back in some other iteration in the future relatively quickly?
Yeah, of course, depending on what the meeting dates are, or if it even wanted, if it was brought forth at a council meeting. I don't know that it would necessarily have to come up in a HERS meeting. I could look into that, but certainly if that were to be the case, I could look into the fastest way to bring it back and ensure that that happens.
Okay, yeah, I asked because I want to have a further discussion on it. I don't want to do this today. The contents of the conversation have been tangentially related to this. So I need to be able to understand more before I can support it today. So I just want to, make sure that that's the case. So we have a motion. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Floyd?
No.
Gabbard?
Yes.
Driscoll?
Yes.
Givens?
No.
All right, great. I'm sorry about that. I want to say I do support the co-op, but I'm going to need to have more conversations about it first. I want to wrap up because we're out of time, just with 2 quick points. Just that, our conversation has shifted towards subsidizing something they're outside of the city's control. There's no difference in subsidy for something outside of the city's control versus something inside of the city's control, other than one we control and one we don't. And the one we control, there's an opportunity in the future for there not to necessarily need to be a subsidy. And there is no opportunity for that outside of our control. And so, and just that administration wasn't willing to do like a more enterprise oriented facility frustrates me, because we do enterprise facilities for event spaces and golf courses and airports, but you know, something as simple as providing a food option in someone's neighborhood that could potentially break even or require a small subsidy wouldn't be considered. I don't agree with that sentiment at all. I don't understand it.
So if I could,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was going to not comment previously, but since
I assumed that you
you
would.
brought it up again, you know, I would say that first of all, we agree with what Councilmember Gabbard said about food security. And it's an important, high priority issue for the administration and for City Council, obviously. We stated earlier that we were actually open to this concept of a municipally owned grocery store. We've done a lot of research. We've been, I think, open to considering it seriously. We've had discussions here at committee. The research seems to indicate to us, and we can certainly talk about it more at committee if you'd like to, that the cost and risk is concerning for us, and that maybe there is a way to do this where we're supporting another entity where it's more likely to occur, as opposed to us running our own grocery store at this point. So that's where we're at right now. We're happy to continue the discussion, but you know, it's not a matter of, we didn't tell anyone, look, we're never going to do this, we're not going to. This is what we see as the most likely path forward, is to cooperate with an outside entity at this time.
Okay, I don't agree, but you know, y'all are the ones who make these decisions. I think we're going to have to subsidize something in some way. But I respect what y'all are saying. Okay, we're going to leave this item on the referral list to
Yes.
discuss it again. If that's what you were going to say, like I want, especially if you want to bring back the co-op and have a more in-depth discussion about the co-op, I would like that.
May I?
Yeah, well, Councilmember Driscoll's been trying to get
Thank
something.
you. I just wanted to let you know, I do want to continue a discussion on municipally owned.
Okay.
It's an interesting topic, and as I said earlier, we need a multi-pronged approach. I love the idea of supporting what's already in the works, as well as discussing what we could add to that and use the power of the municipality to do it. So I want to just level set.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So can I just ask, because we had a very thorough, I felt, presentation at our August meeting from Co-op. What more would you like to see?
I'm trying to get an understanding of like how this funding can have some metrics that come back to us, as well as just a keen understanding on what exactly it would take to get them stood up.
Okay.
And I just didn't feel like we were able to get into that discussion.
Okay.
But yeah, those two things, and I'd feel really comfortable.
And is that clear? Because, I mean, you'll be the one that has to bring the conversation, so.
Yeah, no, that's clear. I have some other questions, but
Well,
We
we're-
can take
yeah, we're-
those.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I'd be happy to sit down with y'all soon as well.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm assuming we have Layer next, and it was supposed to start at, does anybody know the time? or
Yeah, it
anything?
was supposed to start at 10:50, so let's start Lair at 10:10,
11:10.
or 11:10, sorry, 11:10.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hers is adjourned.
Thank you.
Move it, body, body, move it, baby. Move it, body.
Okay, Kojak, going out. I'll see you later tonight.
We used to live in a world where dog and dog owner only hung out at home or on walks. What if there was a city that treated dogs like people?
Hey, Kojak, you ready to go? Let's go.
In a city where humans' best friend can pretty much go anywhere. Where you can sip a hot cup of coffee and get an ear rub. Where you can shop for fresh vegetables and a bone. Where you can stroll and shop and be called a good boy. Where you can have drinks with your two-legged friends and your four-legged friends. Together.
Good boy, Kojak.
From the city that brought you Dog Swim Day and 6 dog parks citywide, comes a movie where we will play, fetch, go to work, meet friends, fall in love, and grow up. We all fall in love with our dogs. Now watch our dogs fall in love with the city. It's a great time to be a dog in St. Pete. Now playing.
All right, Kojak, good boy.
Today we're celebrating the grand opening of our Sunken Gardens History Center, which is housed in the restored original 1940s entrance building to Turner's Sunken Gardens, one of Florida's last remaining roadside attractions.
Since 1935, Sunken Gardens has been a landmark in St. Petersburg, providing a beautiful oasis in our busy city, a place to relax, enjoy nature, and the joy of gardening. What a great decision this was 20 years ago, because as we all know, St. Pete's become a lot more busy in the last 20 years. And so this is quite an oasis for us to have. The city purchased Sunken Gardens in 1999, and thanks to an excellent staff, volunteers, and a really dynamic foundation, today the Gardens is a must-see experience for residents and visitors alike. The historical assets of our city must be preserved and maintained. And that's why this History Center is so important. It honors our past and the early pioneers who paved the way for the Sunken Gardens of today.
Behind me is our new History Center, which we're so excited to have and present to you. And you'll notice in the window we have our founder, George Turner Sr., just as he was in 1940. The Gardens is really a family story. It's a story about the Turners that started with George Sr. and then continued through 3 generations. Today, all of you are part of Sunken Gardens history. All of you are here for this historic moment as Sunken Gardens continues to make history.
This was originally the entrance in 1940. Was about 4 years after they decided to make a go of having an attraction as opposed to selling fruits and vegetables. Over the years, it changed usage. When I was a girl, it was what we called the drink stand. More recently, it's been used as an overnight birdhouse to keep the birds safe. But now it's our new history center. To see my grandfather in the window, it's icing on the cake. It's like he's there overseeing his garden.
St. Petersburg citizens in 1999 voted to tax themselves to save Sunken Gardens. That almost never happens. So my hope is that people understand the importance of historic sites like this, historic gardens, historic places that really give Florida its character. They're the reason that we want to live here. We need to preserve them, and I really hope people fall in love with it all the more and understand the importance of preserving it.
My name is Niveen Naruz, and I'm a lead chemist in the Environmental Compliance Division Laboratory. Our lab here is a monitoring lab, so we tested the water to make sure it meets the standards. It's water resources department, so we test all the water resources within the city and outside the city to make sure it's safe for consumption or for recreational reasons, and make sure the community is safe and the environment in general is safe. After all, everyone needs water. So we test drinking water from all over the city on a monthly basis. So every month we cover all the areas in the city. And also we do beach monitoring. We do the beaches on a weekly basis. We found that we have more control over the data and we produce more reliable data in the lab here than the private labs. We make sure that all the water in the city is safe for you, your family, your pet, the animals, the aquatic life, to protect the water. I feel I'm giving back to the community as well. I do a lot of troubleshooting and problem solving. I'm like a scientist and detective as well, so it's very interesting. I really like my job because it actually has a real effect on people's lives. You know, like no one can live without water.
Moved to St. Pete in 2014. We drove around and walked around different neighborhoods and noticed that they had events, community gatherings, cleanups, signage, cool logos, flags, all kinds of stuff like that. And I thought, I wonder why we don't have that. For the longest time, one of the things that annoyed us was anytime we met locals from St. Pete, one of the first questions they would ask us is, what neighborhood do you live in, right? And so people would say, well, I live in Kenwood, or I live in North Kenwood, or I live in Old Northeast, or Old Southeast. And we would just say, you know, we're that neighborhood north of North Kenwood.
When we were initially looking at this house, on Zillow they had it listed as North Kenwood, which we thought was a bit of a stretch.
A little bit of a chin scratcher.
Yeah, I think they were trying to kind of just jump on the Kenwood bandwagon.
We wanted to have an identity. We wanted to have something that we could be proud of, but also that our neighbors could be proud of together.
We went into this just wanting to organize a neighborhood association, and we didn't realize how much it would change our lives for the better.
About a year ago, I joined up and became part of the core team reviving the neighborhood association, and as part of that, we decided to really start fresh, and we interviewed, asked neighbor input and talked about coming up with a new name.
I started doing some research and realized that we actually did have a name. We were Highland Grove neighborhood. Highland Grove was actually a much larger neighborhood, and we decided to split the neighborhood into two smaller neighborhoods. On the west side of 28th Street, a neighborhood formed called Station View, and on the east side of 28th Street, our neighborhood formed, and our neighbors voted to call it St. Pete Heights.
So St. Pete Heights is an amazing location, actually. It's pretty central. Our big intersections are 30th Ave North and 38th Ave North. We make up a kind of a perfect square in the center there, also from 275 over to 28th Street North.
The more people start to see the name, hear the name through things like signage, which we're working on now, flags and other merchandise. We just got our branding done by a local St. Pete artist.
I am the guy behind the St. Pete Heights branding project. I work with the committee closely to come up with a new brand identity that represents who they really are. From the beginning of the project, our goal was to create something that can represent the people of the neighborhood. as opposed to when you're working with a business, you're thinking about the customers in mind. In this case, we wanted to represent the community, the people, and some of the things that makes them unique. My job was to find a way to tell their story through a visual identity, through beautiful typography, colors, and something that is able to showcase their passion behind the love for the neighborhood.
People are going to have pride to be in this neighborhood. It's a new neighborhood. People don't necessarily know what St. Pete Heights is, probably never heard of it. Once they start seeing the logo on, signs, flags, shirts, things like that, it'll become more identifiable, and I feel like it'll bring more of a sense of community to the neighborhood.
The more they see these types of things, the more inclined they're going to be to care about their neighborhood and to want to feel invested in the community. It'll just be a domino effect where over time it will become bigger, better, and a place that people just love even more.
I can't wait to put that flag up in front of my house. I can't wait. It's gonna look really cool.
One of the things that we do in the neighborhood association is have care days. There are opportunities for the neighbors to come together and volunteer, oftentimes to beautify, clean up. It really can be anything. But the most recent one we did was a Drains to Bay project, where we put the signs that say Drains to Bay on the storm drains. We did every one in St. Pete Heights.
We had a day where we put signs that say Drains to the Bay on all of our storm drains, so people know that any water that go into the storm drains will wind up in the bay, so they're more careful about that.
When we do these care days, we're walking around the streets. Like, how often do you just walk around the streets of your neighborhood doing something like cleaning up? Or people notice that. Neighbors notice that and want to know, like, what are you guys doing? And then we get to talk about the neighborhood association. We even had one guy join in.
I would say it's very worth it. We've met so many incredible people in our neighborhood that we didn't even know live just doors down from us. Had it not been for the neighborhood association, had it not been for this initiative that we had, none of that would have been possible. And to me, those human connections are really what it's all about.
PCCA, Gibbs High, was high school that was invented because initially black people didn't go much beyond the 6th or 7th grade. And they created it, and then they put this performing arts magnet there. And I remember the first time I went there, just the art in the hallways that was from students, very sophisticated. And I thought, who wouldn't want a job there? Teaching motivated, talented young people. And obviously you were called because you taught, how long did you teach at Gibbs?
I believe I taught for 9 years, 8 or 9 years. Yeah, a long time.
I think teaching at PCCA for those years made me a better artist. Working with young artists and inspiring young artists. But beyond the inspiration, teaching them how to coexist as artists in the community. They did not seek artists who were teachers. First, you didn't have to have a teaching degree to work in the magnet.
I didn't know that.
No, they wanted you to be an artist first. So you came with your artist degree or your art, and then from there, once you were inside, because I didn't have a teaching degree, once you were inside, once you got hired, then they put you through, Pinellas County School District has a phenomenal program so that you could get your teaching license. They wanted all of their educators to be working in the community so that their students had the opportunity to network and with the community members so that it strengthens the school and it also strengthens the community. And I think that was very important. I think it's a pivotal part of the program. I think it's a thing that makes it successful. And then not just the community as in St. Pete or the Southeast region, but our national community too. Because so many of our artists, visual and performing artists, have gone on to do great things. Broadway, LA, and beyond, tours, all those things, yeah.
Hey, that's my house, and this is my ASMR video about water conservation. I use water wisely. Ever have a drippy sink? You should fix it to not waste water, and also not to go crazy with that dripping noise. Look there, that's my automatic shut-off hose attachment. Super water conservative. Even when nature calls, I call nature and I say, "Hi, I'm conserving water with my high-efficiency tank." Okay, bye. Oh, hey, that's me. Just using my high-efficiency washer. Just listen to the sounds of water being conserved. Go to this website to learn more, St. Pete, and do what you can for water conservation.
Today we cut the ribbon for Bayou Courts, a mixed income apartment complex here in South St. Pete. The great part of this story is that this originally was going to be all market rate, but in partnership with Gravel Road and with the county, we were able to have 60 units here with a good mix of units that are affordable to folks making less than average incomes.
One of the cool parts about this project is it was specifically geared towards teachers, city workers, county workers, the people that run our area, the people that are educating our children. This is the place for them, and they made it a place that's welcoming, that's beautiful.
It tends to be the case that a lot of the folks that work in those jobs qualify for these projects, and most times they don't know that they actually qualify. But what we're talking about is a subset of affordable that truly serves that missing middle.
Already 21 of the units have already been rented out. So this is a great example of how we work together, how we can have affordable housing.
What we're seeing is the hard work really coming to fruition now, but also you're still seeing shovels go in the ground. I think that's the most important thing. We started to get the momentum. What you're seeing now is the ball actually rolling. We got to keep pushing, make sure that that momentum continues.
We'll persevere and make sure that we have that affordable housing that makes us the inclusive community we are.
My name is Joel Hostler. I'm one of the owners here at 7C Music. My father and I opened this business in 2016. I'm a Florida native. My father moved back here, retired in 2015, started doing some guitar work. Quickly found out that he didn't want to do it all on his own, and so he called me that later on that year and asked if we would want to move back to Florida from California, Southern California. We literally moved here in September of 2016, and we opened the doors of the shop in October of 2016. We were in a smaller shop, and then we were there for about 4 years. So 2016 to 2020, we signed a lease here in the Warehouse Arts District and opened this location here. Expanded quite a bit. Of course, we opened a coffee shop that my wife runs. Now we're here. It's 2025, a new year. It's been good. This place has become, I think, a hub for musicians. We have a lot of times guitar players will come in and somebody else comes in and they're in the room and they just start talking and get to know each other. Then they're having coffee the next week. There's a ton of bars and a ton of restaurants that have people playing music in the corner. We knew we wanted more of a listening room type of experience where people are able to listen and actually engage in the music. Between the coffee shop, the concerts, the guitar repair shop, and the sales, I think it's a really fun place for community, for people to come and hear music, get coffee, and even learn more about guitars and stuff too.
What do you know about the Coliseum? That was a boom time development, wasn't it?
It was pretty much the place where people went.
Sure.
For entertainment. I mean, you hear some of the stories of the bands that played there, and it was amazing.
Most of the big white swing bands, I think, played there. And because it was in the segregation area, the counterpart in the black community was on 22nd Street South with the Manhattan Casino.
Correct.
And of course, they had all the big name bands come there and play as well.
The Coliseum in the 20s and 30s was kind of like the Amalie Arena of today, where everybody who was anybody musically performed there. But didn't some of the acts perform at the Coliseum and then that same night leave and go play at the
Absolutely,
Manhattan?
they sure did. And sometimes they would gather for impromptu jam sessions in people's houses, I'm told.
That's very cool.
Yes, it is. Wardsville, that was actually named for perhaps a businessman and his wife who was maybe for a while the postmistress in town.
They took care of everybody's mail here, and we needed a name, and we were Wardsville until the magical day where we became St. Petersburg.
And speaking of that, how did it happen?
That's a great story. If you ride the trolleys, you hear a great story about a coin flip where Peter DeMenz and John Williams, who owned most of what is now downtown St. Petersburg, General John Williams, flipped a coin, right? The winner gets the name of the city, loser gets the name of the first hotel. Makes complete sense, right? The city is St. Petersburg, named after St. Petersburg, Russia, where Peter DeMenz is from. The Detroit Hotel is our first hotel, named after Detroit, Michigan, where Williams is from. Great story, but it's not true. We needed a name. And the postmaster wanted a name. Peter DeMenz had a press conference saying he was taking his train to St. Petersburg. John Williams didn't want to call it St. Petersburg. So there's all kinds of discussion. So what do you think happened after that?
I think somebody, perhaps one of the partners in that railroad enterprise, said, look, we have to name this after Peter DeMenz, and so we're going to name it St. Petersburg, and you go to the post office and tell Ms. Ward that's what it's going to be. And that's probably about how it happened, as simple as that.
It's as close as it came.
This is our first City Hall on tour for 2024. We're here at Pinellas Technical College, and it's an opportunity for the community to talk to any of our departments, from sanitation to codes to law enforcement, police, or fire, about our community, about their recommendations, their concerns, and get feedback on the spot.
Community folks who are where you're at. The City Hall on Tour is designed to put you in spaces where people live in real time.
It's also a focus on education and career paths, and that's why we're here at Pinellas Technical College. They're a great partner with us. You heard about the Mayor's Future Ready Academy, where we have 12 young people who are going through on-the-job training in various city departments like sanitation and public works.
For our Future Ready Academy, we really consist of like going through each department through the city and then learning new experiences through each department and what each department consists of. So you kind of get a win-win in each opportunity. So it's kind of a lot through each department. You get to learn a lot.
We look at the city of St. Petersburg, from the historic gas plant to all of the housing developments that are going on, corridor development. Most of those are driven by the trades. Plumbers, electricians, craftsmen of all kinds.
It's also a focus this year on careers and getting folks connected to career paths. We try to have these around the city. We had 4 last year. This year we'll have 3 and another one dedicated to youth. That's how we all move forward together.
Campbell Park is a beautiful community. It is rich with culture.
All right, Campbell Park is located right across the street from Tropicana Field, where the Tampa Bay Rays play. Right across the highway, you got an overpass right here that you can walk over. It's right down the street from the local skate shop, Anchor. It's in a pretty dope location, honestly.
What I think is unique about Campbell Park is you can have a yard, you can have green space, you have this beautiful park across the street, and then you just go a little further and now you're into the density of downtown, which is really exciting to have an actual residential corridor with yards so close to a really booming downtown area.
We are one of the more accessible communities when it comes to traveling, as far as going downtown, interstate travel, any of our shopping centers. This is the perfect place to be when it comes to all of those things.
You can skate anywhere in St. Pete just using the trail, and you can just hop off the trail, walk across the Trop, and then hop right over the highway and you're here, and you can just shred. It's a dope park.
I love taking my dog for walks into the skate park. I love going there and seeing all the energy of everyone using the skate park.
The skate park has brought an environment for diversity, and so our children are able to attend the skate park and have a safe place to skate without being on our roadways.
I definitely think that the skate park is going to help change some kids' lives out here, for sure.
I live right across the street, so I just come right across the street, come skate, blow off some steam, have some fun. That's what it's all about, having fun. That's what I say skateboarding.
Back in the day, growing up skateboarding, skateboarders and BMX bikers never got along. To see BMX bikers and skateboarders getting along so well together in a skate park is really transformative, because if BMXers and skateboarders can be in harmony, then everyone can be in harmony together.
Nobody's gonna be like, oh, you're too short to do this, you're too tall to do this, It's more of a, you just come here and you get to do what you do, self-express yourself through the park. Definitely, since the skate park's been built, there's been a lot of more little kids on their sidewalk, practicing how to skate. You see kids riding down the street on the way to the skate park. since I've lived here, like a lot of the areas have been cleaning up, you know, moving towards a more positive direction.
Everyone has kind of come together and worked hand in hand in improving things for everybody. Something where you create positive activity throughout the day has such a spillover effect on pushing out crime, which has been amazing.
All walks of life can come here. Like skateboarding is one of those things that's just like, it doesn't care what color you are or how much money you have. Like if you have some wheels, a board, and some shoes, like you're part of the crew, you know, like you can shred. Everybody's welcome.
The neighborhood has changed over the years. It was beautiful when I was a child, but it's beautiful now that I'm an adult. I'm blessed to have been able to see all of those changes over my 46 years here in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Chuck with the City of St. Petersburg Water Resource Department. Today, I want to talk about something small that makes a big difference, your sewer cleanout cap. Your sewer cleanout is an access point in your yard that allows you or a plumber to quickly inspect and service the pipe connecting your home to the city's sewer system. If the cap is missing or damaged, rainwater, floodwater, and debris can get in. And when rainwater enters the sewer system through an open cleanout, it can overwhelm the system, increase treatment costs, and even cause sewer overflows. The good news? It's a simple, inexpensive fix. A PVC cap costs just a few dollars at most hardware stores. Just screw it clockwise until it's snug. That small step helps protect public health, reduces costs, and keep both your neighborhood and the city's wastewater system running smoothly. So, check your clean out today and replace any missing or broken caps right away. For questions, call 727-893-7261 or visit stpete.org/waterresources.
Hello, my name is Bob Turner. I'm the Assistant Director of Sanitation for the City of St. Petersburg, and I'm here to talk to you about a very important issue called hot loads. Historically, hot loads for us were centered around hot coals that folks had put into the garbage cans. Now the new culprit is rechargeable lithium batteries. These batteries actually combust when crushed. So as soon as they go into our garbage trucks and we compress the load, either the batteries themselves or the devices that contain these batteries are crushed, they ignite, and they set the load on fire. The important thing for our residents to know is that these types of batteries and the devices that these batteries are in can't be thrown away in the regular garbage. They need to be taken someplace where they can be recycled, where they don't cause a hazard to our trucks or our drivers. The best way to find out information about where you can take a particular device or a battery is to go to the Pinellas County Solid Waste webpage and use their Where Does It Go tool. It's a great resource. You can type in the item that contains the rechargeable battery or the battery itself and they'll tell you what to do with it. It's important for our residents to please keep these items out of the trash so that we don't have trucks catch on fire and we don't risk our employees.
Hey, Bubba. Hi, good morning. Hey, you ready to come out? Ready for breakfast? My name's Amy DePalma, and I am a nature preserve ranger here at Boyd Hill. The specialty of my job is overseeing the Birds of Prey program. We take in permanently injured, non-releasable birds of prey, and we turn them into avian ambassadors. We take these birds all throughout the county, from the Saturday morning market to schools to assisted living facilities. When you're talking about conservation, sometimes it can be kind of a bore, but when you have a great horned owl sitting on your arm talking about conservation, people are a lot more inclined to listen, to pay attention, especially since these birds have injuries due to human interaction in some way. Conservation efforts in general are really important around the world, but specifically here at Boyd Hill because we do live in one of the most densely populated counties in all of Florida. It's really important to conserve these small parcels of land. All of these birds that we have here live throughout Florida. We also have to worry about their diet and feeding them, so we weigh them almost daily to make sure that their food fluctuates with their body weights. We also have to do medical care, but aside from me, we have 54 volunteers that help make this program run day to day. There's a lot of maintenance that goes along with these birds, and it's a group effort. It's not just me. Step up. Up. No, you want to face everyone, huh? You got an audience. They're just like people. They have good days and bad days. So sometimes when you walk in, they want nothing to do with you, and other times you're walking around the corner and they're chirping and yelling saying, "Come in here and feed me." So it's really, really, probably one of my favorite parts of the job is just interacting with these birds. Hey, Dance. Yeah, so this is Dancer. He's a red-tailed hawk. He is 19 years old. I mean, I get to spend my day in a nature preserve. So I am surrounded by nature and surrounded by nature-minded people, which really excites me. So interacting with kids and adults and just spreading my passion is really what I love about this job.
Evan?
Yes, sir. My name is Evan. I graduated from St. Pete.
St. Pete High. All right. Good to meet you.
My name is Mario.
Mario.
From St. Pete.
Another Green Devil?
We have a license A, B, and C that allow you to move up through the ranks of a treatment plant.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, everybody.
The Mayor's Future Ready Academy is an innovative approach to providing opportunities for our young people and also fulfilling some of our workforce needs in city departments like Parks and Recreation, Sanitation, and Public Works. This was an innovative way that our departments thought to open the doors of opportunity to let our young people know about the career path, not just a job, but a career with the city of St. Petersburg.
Hey, good morning. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send y'all with a field group. I think one is going to be manhole inspections.
Our Future Ready Academy really consists of going through each department through the city and then learning new experiences through each department and what each department consists of. You get to learn a lot.
Well, I'm with Water Resources Department right now, and we came out here to this manhole to see if the float should be moved.
The blower is ventilating the air right now, pushing all the toxic gas out and bringing fresh air in.
Today, we're trying to get the flow meter changed from one manhole to the next one. And one manhole, there's a lot of sludge, and then the other one, we just found out it is sludge in that one as well.
We have to use a blower to blow all the toxic gas out and put fresh air in the manhole so it's safe for somebody to go down there.
It's a good way to look at what they do behind the scenes. Coming out here, you actually see like they test the waters for how fast it's traveling, and they test the waters like to see like the gases and what's in it.
They clean out at the lift stations things that come through the toilet filtration system. That's like the flush wipes. They're really not flushable or biodegradable. There's just a lot of things that people flush that don't need to be flushed.
Today I'm with Park and Rec, the construction crew.
They building a clay pit. We had to stack all the bricks up and then make our own mix, spread it in so it can lock.
Cadets have opportunities to earn some other certifications outside of the classroom. These cadets were working on their CDLB, which means once they complete this particular program, they will be CDLB certified, which means that they'll be able to operate certain vehicles that you have to have the CDLB permits for.
So y'all did it. I'm proud of y'all. I swear I'm so proud of y'all.
Today I'm with the SPTO department and I'm with the traffic group.
Across the road, there's another pole box. Once we pull it through there, we're gonna run it up the pole and out onto the arm.
Today we were setting up radars, which kind of scan the cars when they pull up to the lights, giving signals to the lights so that they could turn.
We have sensors that will see cars. And what we did is we needed to add 2 sensors for north and south coming out of the dog track and coming out of apartment complex.
I've never been up that high, other than in like an airplane, but seeing the wires and how everything works was really cool. I want to have a job with the city so I can start my career, and then from that point on, just keep moving up.
You are a leader. You are important. You deserve everything that you desire. And St. Petersburg is a great place for you to achieve those things. Is that right?
The program was good. At some points it was a little hard to kind of, I guess, keep going, keep pushing through it. But being here today, it's really good. I feel very accomplished.
He started out and he continued and completed everything that he set out to do. So I'm proud of him.
I just think it's incredible when we talk about this program. 9 graduates, 6 full-time opportunities, 3 CDLs, 1 part-time. I mean, it's just incredible to think about what you've accomplished in that time period.
I feel like I'm real proud of myself. I feel like I did a good job throughout the whole program. You know, not giving up and just keep working so I can better myself in life.
I'm just so thankful for the program. It gives him a start in life, and I'm really, really proud of him.
You are the first. You set the standard, and you've proven the concept of this program. We want to make sure that whether you're with us for 5 years or for 50 years, that you know that you have the foundation to move forward in life and achieve anything that you all want to achieve.
I'm Jean Ordner, Parking Enforcement Officer. We're here to keep the traffic moving. That's our goal. Yes, we write parking tickets, but we really just want to keep the parking spaces open for everybody to patronize the businesses. If we weren't here, there'd be no parking ever. I mean, you gotta have some kind of compassion. You can't just be out there and hit them hard. If it's you and your vehicle's first ticket and you've spent $25 or more at a downtown business the same day as the ticket, you can get it voided. They'll ask you to bring in a copy of your receipt, your driver's license to the 301 Central, and they'll take care of it from there. Everybody makes mistakes. We want to have compassion for these people. For instance, if they have a discharge paper from the emergency room with their name on it with the date and time of the ticket, yes, they can get it voided also that way. One lady went in, she was in labor and her husband parked. Well, we voided his ticket too because he was there for the birth of his child. So it's really situation upon situation, but most of the time if they have discharge papers and they can prove it, it's usually voided. We know it's an inconvenience to get a ticket, and it's kind of aggravating, but in the long run, it goes to a good cause because it gives the city money to comply with ADA compliances, the sidewalks, and all that good stuff to fix them and everything else. And then another portion goes to school crossing guards, so we can make sure that every school has them. I've had a lot of positive interactions. For instance, sometimes I go down to the dog park in the afternoon to give the dogs treats. I enjoy interacting with the different people. I know a lot of the different restaurant owners, so just interacting with different people on a day-to-day basis. We're not out there to necessarily give the tickets, we would rather them move. And that's the most important thing is we want people to be able to come down and patronize a business without having to worry about parking. If we weren't here, that nobody would ever find a parking space. They would park there and they'd stay. They wouldn't move. So then if you want to go to a specific restaurant, you can't go because that parking's full all day. We're there for a reason.
Dear reader, you are loved, more than you know.
Keep smiling and shining and being who you are.
The world is lucky to have you.
Happy Pride to you. Celebrate like you should.
Life would be dull without you in it. Keep shining bright.
Sunshine face.
You are so loved. Do not let anyone ever tell you different.
St. Pete loves you.
We need you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being you.
You are beautiful just as you are, and you make our city more beautiful because you are a part of it.
You make the world more colorful.
You make the world brighter.
Never give up.
You are loved for exactly
who you are. I promise.
The world needs you in it.
I'm the youngest of 7 girls, and so I had lots of female role models.
One in particular is most definitely my mother.
My mother has always been my strongest influence. I distinctly remember growing up in South America, there were not very many opportunities for women in leadership, and my mom really made her own place.
One of my grandmothers had ovarian cancer, and my other grandmother had 4 cancers. In the late 60s, went in for a lumpectomy. They did a double radical mastectomy. She woke up being taken down to her breastplate. For her, that was incredibly humbling because her whole identity was being in the community, and she felt embarrassed, and to some extent that her womanhood was gone. And so watching her overcome that and thrive was really, that was inspiring as well.
Growing up, I really admired one of my high school teachers in particular. She was this incredibly brilliant woman who was tough, who was smart, and who also would give everything to help her students.
I think it's critical to have a mentor. I found mentors that taught me self-acceptance, self-love. They help you find a way. They help you find an opportunity to a path to your full expression.
Well, I think mentorship is extremely important to the pathway to success.
Having someone there who is really going to be the shining example, who is going to be your guide through life, is really what's so important and what so many of us need.
Every life, you should have somebody that is your champion and somebody you can champion. And I think that's really important as we think about elevating others.
Oh, St. Petersburg Leadership for Women is outstanding. I think we are positioned perfectly.
I feel so very fortunate to live and work in a city like St. Pete that's inclusive, that's progressive.
I believe that we are a future that will be kind and generous.
There's great support amongst the women leaders to collaborate, to make a difference, to solve complicated problems, and they're brilliant, brilliant women.
This community has not just great women leaders, but a platform where they're elevated and able to do things that are meaningful and that really impact our community. And that's part of the reason it's such a phenomenal community.
Women have such an important role in our culture.
The future of women in St. Pete has never felt brighter.
Mentor a young lady or find a mentor for yourself.
Be sure to honor the women in your life this month and every month.
Camp Ignite is a 3-day program where aspiring